Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Mike, and I think I might have the toughest question of all today. The question is, why should we believe in creation over evolution?
Maybe because one is supported by evidence and the other is not supported by evidence.
The debate between creation and evolution is not between blind faith versus certain facts. No, the debate is primarily between faith and faith.
110% false. It's not faith vs faith, it's faith vs facts. We have plenty of evidence for evolution. Fossils, DNA, viral genetics, etc., etc. Just because you're too ignorant to go to a natural history museum does not make evolution faith.
You see, the scientific method is based on an assumption. It's based on faith. The assumption is that there is no God. There is no supernatural being who could meddle with the results.
What the no? There is absolutely no reason for us to believe that any supernatural being would affect with our results. That is literally the most basic assumption you can make that you can't even call it an assumption anymore. If we assume that something supernatural can meddle with the results, why do science at all when all our results cannot be trusted? It's like telling people that their senses may be deceiving them. If you live your life thinking that your sight or your hearing or your smell could be affected by some supernatural force, then why even trust them at all? So the fact that you trust your senses means that you are quote unquote assuming that there's no supernatural being affecting them. And obviously we do trust our senses. So similar to science, we can't just go around assuming that there's going to be something affecting our results randomly. That's not an assumption, it's just common sense.
Which kind of makes sense. A scientist has to assume there are natural laws that he is trying to explore, that she is trying to discover.
Oh my god, are you trying to say that science is based on faith just because we have to make the assumption that we are looking for something? I'm sorry, that is absolutely stupid.
But because of that, science and the scientific method can't speak about spiritual things.
We have absolutely no reason to believe that anything spiritual exists. Until proper evidence is presented that tells us that spirits exist, we are not going to believe they do. Check out my previous video on the burden of proof.
Now the evolutionists might say, but what about all these facts? And the creationists might respond, but what about all these facts?
Except for the fact that you don't have any facts to present.
What about the fine-tuning of the universe? What about the distance from Earth to Sun? What about the mass of the Earth that allows life to exist? Did you know, in fact, that the odds of life existing on this Earth are 1 in 10 to the 70th power?
Okay, I'm gonna let you finish before I debunk your bullshit.
If you want to know how crazy that is, there was just a lottery drawing for $1.5 billion. The odds of winning it were 1 in 232 million. So basically, to believe that the Earth just happened to exist by chance is like saying the Earth won the lottery, not once, but 327 million times in a row, give or take a few. So if you believe the Earth won the lottery that many times, you can believe that God doesn't exist, and we just happened because a big bang happened to bang.
Okay, there are many things wrong with this argument. The first is the God of the gaps. Just because there is something that science does not understand does not mean that God did it. You need proper hard evidence for your specific God, not just point out something science hasn't solved yet and say, oh look, it must be God. I find that Christians love to use this type of argument in an attempt to prove God. The second problem I have with this argument is sort of related to the first. Why is it your God? Why isn't it Vishnu? Why isn't it Zeus? How come mentioning a gap in our scientific understanding of the universe merely points to a Christian God and not any of the thousands of other gods? So yeah, that's basically enough to debunk your argument, but of course there's more. Let me just start off by proposing another hypothesis. Parallel universes. There may be an infinite number of parallel universes, and if that's the case, that means we just so happen to be in one of the parallel universes that are fit for life. Since the universe has an infinite number of chances to get all its physical laws straight, we will only be conscious in one of the universes that worked. This hypothesis would explain the quote-unquote fine-tuning of the universe. I know that the idea of parallel universes has yet to be proven, but that hardly matters here. The fact that there is a plausible alternative hypothesis already significantly weakens your argument for God. Anyway, to a proper scientific explanation. Our physical laws falling into place isn't exactly as lucky as you claim. When one physical law forms, it becomes a gateway for many other physical laws to fall into place. This eventually becomes a chain and gives us the universe as we know today. The chances of this are significantly higher than what you claimed. Plus, even if there were a designer that designed the universe, this is a really shitty design. There are plenty of places in the universe in which life clearly cannot sustain itself due to high temperatures or pressure. Seems weird for a god to design a huge universe with so many inhabitable places just for humans to live in one small speck. Anyway, that's not really the main point. The main point I wanted to get to was the God of the Gaps argument. One more time, just because there's something that science has yet to figure out does not mean you can plug in God. Please, just don't do it.